I look at this expanding row of names, and I'm reminded of the ocean, wave after wave after wave of ancestral grief, wave after wave of ancestral grief, waves of ancestral grief.
All right, everybody, I can't yell as well as Keith, but we're also without sound system, so I'm going to do my best to yell. But if you can't hear me, just, yeah, that's helpful. Thank you. So we want to first start with a land acknowledgement. We want to acknowledge the legacy of the Shasta people, who are the original inhabitants of the land in what is now called Ashland. We recognize that the indigenous people of Ashland and the Rogue Valley were forcibly removed from their homeland in 1856. We recognize that our country was built on indigenous land, and we pay tribute to the indigenous nations who have maintained the health and beauty of these lands in and surrounding Ashland through careful stewardship of forest, water, and animals. We further recognize that land acknowledgement is a critical public intervention, a necessary step toward honoring Native communities and enacting the much larger project of healing and reconciliation, also recognizing that indigenous people, their tribal governments, and traditional communities are still here, including the present and future indigenous inhabitants of the Shasta, as well as the diverse Native American communities who make their home here today. Thank you. I'm Jess Friedman. I'm part of the Say Their Names collective. And first I just want to say, on behalf of everyone, thank you all so much for being here. It feels so good to feel support in person. And as the collective, we are really just members of the community, like all of you, who are seeing the racial injustices all around us and want to do something about it. Like you, we all have our stories of when we first were in front of this fence and what we felt. For me, I was a new mom, and I had the joy of motherhood like abruptly overshadowed by this new horror of what I had to protect my son from in this world. And we all have different stories like that. And that's what's so powerful about this fence, that in the way that public art can, it evokes something different in everyone and brings us to a place where we're motivated and have a way to not only grapple with what we're dealing with in the world, but be motivated to do something about it. And we are really indebted to Joanne Feinberg and everyone who joined her to put up the original. Sorry, that's my son. Put up the original installation, everyone who's adopted it along the way over the past year, and for the community who continues to come out and be supportive of this fence and what it means and what we're trying to achieve. I'm also a member of BASE, Black Alliance in Social Empowerment, and what we try to do in the Valley is create a sense of community for the Black people that live here, and a place that we can feel confident calling home, empowering us to succeed, and not just succeed, to thrive. Not only succeed, but to thrive. And at the very most basic level of that is that my life matters, that my son's life matters, that our family's lives matter. And frankly, we're not at a place where that's fact. A child was killed here in Ashland in November, and when you think about what is to come, there's not a given outcome. You know, we don't know what's going to happen, and that's just the reality right now. And that's not a fight that started last year. It's something that is ongoing, that we have to continue to show up for, to reinvigorate, and that's what we're all doing here tonight. So thank you all for coming. We're going to let the rest of the members of the collective kind of introduce themselves and their organizations and what they're here for and why this is so important to them. We'll invite the community to also share their stories, and then we're also going to welcome everyone to add to the fence to commemorate a life or add a message of hope if they would like to. And with that, I will hand it over to
Hello everybody, my name is Keith Jenkins. I'm with So Black, Southern Oregon Black Leaders Activist and Community Coalition. Our aim is to build an engaged, active base of Black people to get involved politically, to build a political home for Black folks in the Valley, a safe place for us, for people like us and people who think like us, and to know that while Black people are not a monolith, we're here, and we all have a different voice, but we all want to speak under the So Black flag, and we're here to help build the Black political agenda forward for the Valley. So next is.
Hi, my name is Tia Laida Fe. Some of you know me from further back as Candace Younghands. I'm here representing Southern Oregon Anti-Racist Business Collective, and also a member of this Say Their Names collective. Myself and Cassie Preskinis, along with Sage Keene and Tia McLean, are, I guess you could say, the co-conspirators for the creation of the Southern Oregon Anti-Racist Business Collective. Here, birds out of Ashland, but really wanting it to be fully encompassing all of Southern Oregon. We're in our nascent stage. We just did a sort of soft launch over, I guess about 4 months time, about 4 months. And the idea for this, or the activation for this, came after, in the whole wake of the racial justice movement after George Floyd was murdered. I do like to mention, however, that back in 2014, when the Ferguson Group was created here in Ashland, which then became the Racial Equity Coalition, that was one of the earliest initiatives that we discussed, was starting what we called all-inclusive Rogue Valley, and having a way for businesses to mark themselves as safe for BIPOC. And I have to take a breath. That was not received. It was received with responses that said, racism doesn't exist here. We don't even have diversity here. Black people aren't even here. One man said to me, the only Black people here are ones who've been imported for OSF. Yeah. So I think it's important for us to be present to that recent reality in our history. I think it's important that this memorial be acknowledged as a small victory in terms of overcoming our own ignorance, perhaps our own blinders, and that it is just a beginning for us here in Ashland and Southern Oregon. So the Anti-Racist Business Collective is a collective of business owners who are devoted to anti-racism, not just by putting a sign up and wanting everyone to know that they're good, but through the actual tangible actions that they take. So it involves having a contract that is very transparently displayed, that has a whole list of ways in which they are engaging in anti-racist behaviors in their workplace, in their supply chain, and in their civic community. So we'll be launching in the fall, and we're very hopeful that you all will be encouraging of all the business owners you know to get engaged and understand the power of being a collective, and then having a way to telegraph and communicate not just to our community but to the visitors, those that come for OSF, those that come because we have a Black female artistic director of a regional theater, right? Those that show up because that means something to them and they want to see what that means, that when they show up, those people of color who show up actually have a positive, healthy experience here. And what we know, what we've learned from our brothers and sisters of color is that we have a lot to learn. And so I'm here saying thank you for showing up today. Thank you for how you all, I mostly know all of you. Thank you for how you show up in community, and may we continue to do so and have the hard conversations, and may we have a Southern Oregon Anti-Racist Business Collective that is devoted to truly being anti-racist. Thank you. Hello. Hello everybody, my name is Precious Edmonds and I am also with So Black as well as a part of the Say Their Names collective. And I appreciate you all coming out here to celebrate the 1-year anniversary of this memorial installation that has come about. I think it's great that it has come about, and it is beautiful, and it has grown from the time that it has first went up last June to what it looks like now. And a lot of care has gone into the maintenance of the fence, as well as continuous putting up of new shirts, and really honoring the names that are on here. But I also know that the installation came about after George Floyd's murder last year, and the whole nation was dealing with racial reckonings across the nation, and there was protests here. There were memorials that came about all across the nation, like this one here. And I want to emphasize that the point is that the racial reckoning was not just happening nationally, it is also happening here. It continues to happen as we as a community deal with the racist history, the racist present that that is about the land that we're standing on, right? And so we can't, in order to move forward, we are not a post-racial civilization that we would like to imagine. And hopefully one day that we actually arrive there, but we haven't, and we can't really get to that place until we actually deal with and reconcile with the history of who we have been in the past, who we are now. And let's face it, Oregon has a very racist history, right? At its inception, there was lash laws on the books which banned black people from settling here. And if a black person had the will and the strength to live here anyway, in the law it had written that they can be beaten, essentially, right? And not only that they would be beaten, but this process would continue every 6 months until they would leave. That is the history that we're dealing with. And then and that preceded the Constitution. And then Oregon went on to write in its Constitution that black people were banned from living here, prohibited from living here. And so it is not unassuming or why, Oregon is known for being a very white place. And just because it's known for being a very white place doesn't mean that's true. Black people live here. All BIPOC people live here. And so we really need to come have a reckoning with that. And we love that this memorial exists. However, this memorializes people who've passed away, but we need to be recognizing black people as they're living. We need to see them, and that is our hope. We, as the Say Their Names collective, we're moving just away from memorializing black people, but wanting to actually acknowledge and celebrate the living. And so with that, we're really striving to have a permanent art installation installed that works to that aim, that acknowledges black people, so that people can come and see that this town, that we're really invested in all the people and making sure that they're being seen, and that is just a vowing to the work that needs to happen, that is continuing to happen, and the commitment to that work. And with that, I'm so grateful that you all are here, and we will be doing other things as we move forward in the process of working towards having the art installation. And so, thank you.
Thank you, Precious. We're now going to open it up to some stories from the community. And I'm going to start by reading a statement from the artist who created the original memorial, Joanne Feinberg. And then you can clap for her. And then we'll allow other community members here to speak. So here is, Joanne couldn't be here tonight, but she did send me something to say. Never did I imagine the life that the Say Their Names memorial would have, and the meaning that it would hold for our community when we first conceived of the installation. When the original memorial was dismantled one night, of course we were devastated, although not surprised. I had always anticipated this as a possibility, but the community response to the destruction was incredible. The memorial has persisted and grown and is now more beautiful than ever. To have the seed of this original idea blossom into the current movement to create a permanent public art installation by the Say Their Names Collective is one I wholeheartedly endorse. I hope all of Ashland and our surrounding communities will support the work to bring this to fruition. The need for this installation is more important than ever as a true and genuine expression of our city's commitment to celebrate and uplift BIPOC lives in our valley. Thank you. And with that, I'm going to pass the mic to Victor. Thank you. Mike pass. Thank you.
Hi. My name's Victor Waring, and I am a black man living in Ashland. So here's proof. And I've lived here for about 6.5 years. And what do I want to say? I want to say that being here has been a mixed bag of things that are really, really wonderful and things that are challenging and hard and things that live everywhere in between. And so I just want to name that. And I want to say something about this because this is amazing. This is not enough. But one thing that when they said, hey, come speak about this a little bit, one thing that really struck me when this went up last year was I noticed myself in the midst of the pandemic, in the midst of everything else going on, I noticed myself landing and sitting in this park a lot more. And just coming here and not necessarily even having anything to do, but just sitting here and feeling like there's another layer down of being held or seen by this community, and so I just noticed that I took comfort in coming here, and the irony of taking the comfort of being seen by the names of dead black people is it's a hard nut. So I'm glad this is here, and it's not enough. And the feeling that I get sometimes as I either walk by this or bike by this or sit here, I get this feeling of the ocean sometimes, of like seeing this ocean of names, this ocean of people, this ocean of beings that aren't here because they were murdered. And so I decided to do one of the things that I do, which is to write I guess I call it a poem. So I thought I would read this, and I'll do my best projection. I look at this expanding row of names, and I'm reminded of the ocean, wave after wave after wave of ancestral grief, wave after wave of ancestral grief, waves of ancestral grief for the ones who leaped from the ships into the sea, the ones who survived rape and ownership and captivity, the ones that felt the sweet winds of freedom only to be cast back into the maelstrom of Reconstruction without acres, without mules, the ones who stepped from servitude to sharing crops, from sharing crops to prison cells, from prison cells to experimentation, votes denied and incarceration, the strange fruit of emancipation. The ones who played jazz and the blues, danced despite their despair, build a nation, reviled, patronized, head petted, sports heroized, sex objectified, police brutalized, and Oval Office presidentified. The grandmothers and the grandfathers, the fathers and the mothers, the children and the elders whose black lives all mattered. The ones trying right now to convince a belligerent, stiff-jawed nation that the stories are still lodged in the systemic nature of our bones, that justice is still not in our home. The ones who are done asking nicely. Me and my sisters and brothers and allies standing on the shoulders of oppression, joy and strength, tears and laughter, freedom and pain, swimming and drowning, living and dying, and celebrating, still here. We are still here. Ashland, I celebrate this memorial, and when I sit in this park, I feel the grief and the anger of the ones who were taken as sure as any black body from African soil. When I sit here, I feel the possibility of a community that sees me, that sees us. But Ashland, we need more than your words and the t-shirts of the slain and the signs in your yards. We need more than your awkward confessions and your strained, over-familiar smiles as we walk down your city streets. We need more than your uncomfortable welcoming of the exotic. We appreciate this monument, and we see your sleepy eyes opening, awakening. Keep opening. Keep opening your eyes. Keep letting go of this state's bitter legacy and enshrinement of white supremacy by noticing the discrepancy of the justice you want and the justice that is. It is after sundown in this town, and we're still here. We're still here. Ashe.
So we have Camila Long here to speak as well, and we wanted to also open it up to community. So I'm thinking, are there one or two people that might want to say something about their experience of the memorial? Yeah, and then Camila will wrap us up. So we have Micah Blacklight, a solid yes. Thank you.
Hi y'all. My name is Micah Blacklight. I've been here for like over a decade, something like that, back and forth. I wanted to speak for two reasons. One is because, well, maybe three. One is because I'm black. Hi. Two is because I feel like there's a whole bunch of swirls that go on whenever we have conversations around community, in a community where whoever we're speaking about is trying to create community is a minority in the community, right? Like, I feel like there's some things that I just like to speak to in regards to that, and then the speaking to the larger piece of what's behind me, of this huge memorial, right? So for me, in terms of my experience of this memorial, I didn't even think of it in terms of installation. I didn't think of it in terms of memorial. Like, that wasn't how I was thinking of it. I was thinking of it like, wow, this is insane. In a neighborhood, in a city that is so very white, for this to be the response, right? And for when it was, I don't know if y'all know the whole story, when they say the destruction or whatever, what they mean was it was disappeared overnight. Like somebody's just came in and whoop, it was gone in the morning. There was no trace, there was no rip, nothing, no signs, nothing. It was just gone. It just wasn't here. That's what happened, right? And typically for something like that to happen in a neighborhood where there are some people, I'm sure, I mean, somebody took it down, right? So there were some people who were like, nah, we don't stand for this. We don't like this. This isn't cool for us. But there were enough people that were like, oh, whoa, what? You know, That's what blew my mind, was the fact that it came back up so much larger, so fast, you know? So for me, it was a testament to the fact that there is community within the community. It was a testament to the fact that there are folk who legitimately feel a certain way without the words, outside the this and that. There's folk who are like, how can I make a difference? This is a concrete piece of something that I can do to show that I care, right? And I think that's huge. One of the things I wanted to speak to is the fact that I do feel like within these conversations, and specifically within our moving through and like prancing through and dancing through, right? There's this notion of for white people, for non-brown people, it gets real tricky. It can get real sticky because there's a bunch of us meaning just brown people. I mean, I'm not speaking for everybody, but I know I can speak for a chunk in this moment. There's a bunch of us who have felt certain things, have experienced certain things, have experienced things that are super, super negative and from a very specific place long enough that when we're given voice, it comes out like, like it's not okay. Feel me? Like it's not positive. It's not any way that we would like to be spoken to. It's not any way we'd like to be treated. It's not any way we'd like to be addressed. But it's an accumulation. There's so much weight, right? And so when that weight comes out, it doesn't come out nice. It doesn't come out eloquent. It doesn't come out articulate. It comes out as just nasty sometimes. And so I just want to own and speak to the fact that for some of y'all, it's gotten real hectic. For some of y'all who wish to help, who want to help, you've been called so-called allies. You've been gutted at the knees, right? Don't call us this. Don't call us that. Some people are BIPOC. Some people are black, and you have no idea which. And depending on who you're speaking to, some of them are down, some of them are not. Some of them are willing to explain. Some of them have nothing to do with that, right? So I just want to name it for y'all to recognize that there are a whole bunch of y'all that have probably gone through some pretty dicey experiences. And I just want to speak to it in the form of just kind of give it some leeway. Recognize that it's coming from years, sometimes decades. Some of us are aware of like just all kinds of stuff. So it's coming from a lot, right? And that doesn't excuse it completely. You don't have to let yourself be walked 100% over just because somebody else is holding the mic for a change, right? Like you don't have to be spoken to in a horrible way. Simultaneously, it is cool for you to give the gift of grace to those who right now are feeling like they're finally being listened to.
Anybody else feeling called to speak?
Thank you. I'll be very short.
Thank you.
Because I'm very short.
Thank you for...
My name is Emily Simon. I live about 3 blocks away, and I walk by here nearly every day. And the reason I wanted to speak was to say I try as hard as I can to do anti-racist work every day of my life. And I want to follow up on what Michael was saying. And when I'm feeling lonely, or when I'm feeling like I'm not making any difference, or when I'm feeling uncertain, and I walk by here and I see these names, it reminds me of why the struggle for us white-skinned people has to go on every day, and why we need to display the grace and the understanding that Micah was talking about. So I want to thank everybody who's here. I want to thank everybody who looks at this at any point in time and gets to remember somebody who we were part of murdering. Thanks.
Thank you. And now we're going to hear from Camila Long.
Well, hello everybody. Hello. How y'all doing? All All right, it's good to see all of you here today for this occasion, for the fight, for the struggle to be seen and heard and felt and believed, and all of the things that everybody just named before coming up here. I don't have much to say today, but I'll just share something that happened today, and thank you for that lovely poem that you did that was so necessary and so beautiful. It doesn't come from a pretty, a pretty thing, but a pretty thing comes out of the shit can grow up something beautiful sometimes. And sometimes you need it for it to go to fertilize some of those thoughts. So I recognize that pain, but you made it into something beautiful for us to hear and listen to and hopefully heed. But this morning, ironically, I was at the Pony Express with my mother because she loves the coffee here. My mother right there is in town visiting from Alabama. And for some of you who know me and who don't, my son graduated from the high school here, from middle school to high school. And that was a journey going through him and a journey for a lot of students of color. And just so happened, and when I say of all, especially the black boys and black bodies specifically, in my experience, I ran into Aiden Ellison's mother today in Pony Espresso. And I did the thing that most people do. A lot of people do. Well, it happens to me. People mistake me for a black actress here in the festival usually. I looked at her and thought it was Ife who's doing the show in the theater. So when I was like, hey, Ife. Oh, I'm so sorry, it's not you. Because she's in proximity. So that thing happened. It happens to black folks too. That's why I'm sharing. And I realized we hadn't seen each other in so long. The last time I saw her was with a group of us here who went to help her be able to see her son before he was cremated. To fight for her to be able to see her son. So we showed up to fight. So she calls me the peacemaker after that. And that's what my mom always called me growing up, was the peacemaker. And she called me that today. But anyway, my mom was talking to her, as she does beautifully, but she's saying yes, because I've prayed, and to be all the way out here in Oregon, and to have my daughter be way out here in this state, and not know, she's saying you got to be protected, and I've just prayed. And I say, Mom, I put my hand on his shoulder. This is Aiden's mom, the young black boy that was killed in the parking lot here, and my mom's whole expression dropped. And she just took her and she held her. And she said only the things that a black woman can say to another black woman. There in Pony Espresso. Tears, shed, pain, love, all of that. I began to cry in Pony Espresso. Because I knew what my mama meant and what she was naming and what she feels and what I felt and what I feel every time I see her. Every time. Not one time, not two times, not three. It will never end. The pain will never go away, especially the how that it happens in this country like this. And I always say, and I'm not ashamed to say how I feel, in a street full of lunatics it feels all the time, in a world full of lunatics. When I think about Juneteenth and there was freedom to go out and be around a bunch of lunatics who are here to take your life. That's what you got free. So we survived being surrounded by a bunch of lunatics out to get you. But as the brother said, we are still here. We are in this state that was filled with folks that have no reason to not allow people to get what they got. A stake and a claim and a life. Simple. It's some people that don't even want people to have the simple things. Not even play your music out loud. They want to tell you how to be, tell you where to go, how to act, how to feel. Like you're not an adult. Like you don't have a family, like you don't have a right. We was born free. Nobody gets to have that. So me, it's about being seen and being recognized, and it's a call for people to step up and to be better people, but it is not, like you said, some people you run into, it ain't my job to make you better. It's not my job to make you better. You know. Deep within, a little child, before you tell them don't touch the TV, they can't even speak. They're about to touch and they look back to see, because they know right from wrong. So I'm not here to teach anybody about right from wrong and how to do and what. You know, you can figure it out. It's there. So when we talk about say their names, like Precious said, I think about say the names. Well, say the names of some of the racist folks here and call them out. Say their names too. When you know they're doing it and you know who they are, call them out, say their name, let them know. I always tell my colleagues, I need to know. You need to tell me where I don't need to be and where I'm not welcome. Don't have me go over people's house and they don't really want me there. Don't have me do those things. It's dangerous to me. It's dangerous to my family. It's dangerous to my well-being. But you can't go around, oh, but he's a nice guy, to you. But when you know that behavior, your nice guy who's old, but he does that, it's dangerous to me and mine. And it can be a danger to this community. The writing is on the wall, literally. So we don't have to tell you. Say them names too. And I say Aiden Ellis's name. I say Andrea, his mother's name today. For the pain is here in this valley. It is not gone anywhere. For the brother who was attacked at the gas station. For me being happy that my son is not here working this summer, because I don't know, during COVID, there's not enough people here in this town for him to hide and weave in between. There's not enough people for him to weave in between, because then he just stands out here. It makes me feel happy that he isn't. That's sad, isn't it? It's sad for me too. I don't want to have that be my feeling inside. I can't tell him that. But I say all of that too, and I'll share with you, inspired by this brother here in a poem. You done heard me say it before, but it's so necessary, so I have to say it because we have to still keep our heads up high. We still have to smile. We can't stay down. We can't stay down. I will not go down. I will not shut up. I will not be quiet. I am here. I'm going to be here as long as I want to be here, and I hope to pave the way. Thank you, Gina. Thank you for paving the way for us. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you so much. You being here is why I can be here, and me being here is why somebody else can be here. So you being here and you talking, having the black men get up and speak today and hear their voices is necessary. We all need each other. We're all in it together. And if you can't see that, I'm not going to teach it to you. But you know what? Maya Angelou, still I rise. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in the very dirt, but still, like dust, I'll rise. Well, does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? Because I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room. Just like moons and like suns, and with the certainty of tides, just like hopes springing high still. Did you want to see me broken? Bowed head and lowered eyes, shoulders falling down like teardrops weakened by my soulful cries. Well, does my heartiness offend you? Don't you take it awful hard, because I laugh like I got gold mines digging in my own backyard. See, you may shoot me with your words. You may cut me with your eyes. You may kill me with your hatefulness, but still, like air, I'll rise. Well, does my sexiness upset you? Or does it come as a surprise that I dance like I've got diamonds at the meeting of my thighs? Out of the hut of history's shame, I'll rise. Up from a past that's rooted in pain, I rise. I'm a black ocean, leaping and wide, welling and swelling. I bear in the tide, leaving behind nights of terror and fear. I rise into a daybreak that's wondrously clear. I rise, bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave. I am the dream and the hope of the slave. I rise. I rise. I rise.
We're going to wrap it up by giving you just a little overview of what we have been working on, the Say Their Names Collective, for next steps for the evolution of this memorial. Not a replacement, but more, right? It's not enough. We need more. So that's one thing that we're working on, the public art installation. We have a community vote that opened June 19th, in which everyone in the community has been welcomed to review 4 different proposals from 4 different local Black artists and choose 2 that you find to be your favorite based on what you read as and what you've heard as the intention for this community and for the art installation.
I'll just add that after that community vote, we're going to give it over to members of the Black community, and the outcome of that process will then be go through the process with the city. And so I think we're just inviting everyone to vote. Check out what these Black artists have put together. There's more on the website. It's really windy, so the situation with the display is not awesome, but check it out on the website. And then for tonight, we want to invite everyone to make their own contribution to the fence if they feel moved to. If you brought something to put up, please do that. There's also shirts and there's some supplies, and we can help you however you want if that's something you want to do. And I think other than that, thank you for hanging out here in the sun on this evening and supporting this project. Thank you to Victor. Thank you, Camila. Thank you for the other community members who shared, and thank you guys for all your support. Thank you guys all for being awesome. And I forget anything? Thank you, Jess. That's it.
They only can kill the body, them devils can't touch our spirit. Our souls are not in their prisons, these devils can't comprehend it. The levels of my contention with racist systemic henchmen. Turning up the decibels real high is not a reason why we should die. I don't trust the police cause they lie. I don't trust the news because they lie. Aiden Ellison, Aiden Ellison, say his name, say his name. Michael UL, Michael UL, say his name, say his name. Aiden Ellison, Aiden Ellison.